how did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose their sources.
If Sean Combs watches this, what do you think he's going to feel?
Like, wow, this is amazing. I think he's going to say this is the best documentary I've seen in a long time. My favorite villain? I kind of like Diddy.
There are no misconceptions about me.
Yeah, you President Bieber.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up? Like, I'm calling you, ain't answering.
Yeah, that was low.
That was weird. That was weird. They did not run through Bieber.
There was... Why you not answering your phone like y'all?
One person who was always anti-Diddy and was always speaking about Diddy as a problematic person was 50 Cent. And it turns out that it's just been announced that he's created a docu-series on Netflix. I can't wait to see this. The other end of that, every person who has tried to speak out about this, who has tried to speak out about the industry, the type...
Good? I'm good. How are you?
Hey, young brother, everything's good?
Everything's
Selling
great.
out arenas and everything? Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean, you try to get in contact with me, through all my, partners and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But you never really got my number, so.
Right. Okay.
My number?
Yeah.
Tell you my number.
Yeah.
Funny. Is this real life?
Yes, this is real life.
I feel crazy. The world is spinning around me.
Don't touch your stitches, Justin. Bieber, don't touch your stitches.
What's happening?
No.
Bieber, stop.
You have 4 eyes. I have 2 fingers.
We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. He signed to Usher. I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
For years, the industry dismissed the warning signs as mere background noise. Tense moments were laughed off, uncomfortable clips were turned into entertainment, and serious questions were quietly avoided. Now, with 50 Cent's documentary forcing a closer look, the narrative is shifting rapidly, and what was once ignored is being pulled into the spotlight. At the center stands Diddy, a figure of immense influence, and Justin Bieber, a rising talent drawn into that world too early, raising serious questions about control, silence, and accountability. This is not about hype or online noise. It is about power, calculated silence, and how the truth can remain hidden for years when too many people benefit from keeping it that way.
What's going on with you guys? Are you working together?
I'm not. I mean, I think that we've become friends in a strange way, you know.
Like Robin Big.
Yeah. It's like exactly.
I'm Big and you're Robin.
Yeah. No, I mean, to a lot of us, he's like a little brother. You know what I'm saying? He's not afraid to call and ask for advice. He's somebody that, in the industry-wise, the record industry is a strong family, and he's somebody that, we definitely have our arms around, and we want to protect him because he's such genuinely a nice person. Besides his talent, you know what I'm saying? He's one of the greatest kids that you could ever know.
Justin, Diddy bought his son a Bentley. Maybe, he could buy you one also while you're out.
Got me a Lamborghini.
That's nice.
I haven't gotten it yet, though.
Yeah, I know. When is that coming, that Lamborghini? We talked about this last time.
He had the Lamborghini for a day or two, and he had access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television.
Justin Bieber's rise was presented as the perfect modern success story. But behind the spotlight was a far more complex reality. A young artist was navigating powerful adult environments with very little visible protection. Archived clips and past interviews suggest that he was often placed in settings where influence, access, and status carried more weight than age-appropriate boundaries. Yet these moments were repeatedly dismissed as routine celebrity culture instead of being seriously questioned. This goes beyond any single incident. It reflects a pattern of normalization within a system that learns to ignore what is uncomfortable. And when opportunity comes at such a cost, the real issue becomes impossible to avoid. Who is ultimately responsible for the consequences that follow?
we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. When he signed to Usher, I had legal guardianship of Usher when you know he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full.
For years, 50 Cent positioned himself as a distant observer of Sean Diddy Combs' inner circle, aware of the environment, but choosing not to engage directly. Yet his warnings were often dismissed as rivalry rather than taken seriously. Now, with pressure building and public perception shifting, those same statements are being revisited with sharper focus and renewed significance, not as proof of every claim, but as a reframing of intent that shows how early signals can exist long before they are acknowledged. It exposes an uncomfortable truth. Criticism is easiest to ignore when it comes from a voice people would rather discredit. And that leaves one powerful question behind. How many warnings go unheard simply because the messenger challenges the narrative?
Say, I seen some things I shouldn't have been seeing at that age. What does that tell you? That he's seen some things, he was around some things when he was young that he shouldn't have been at a Diddy party. So that's going to show you that there's certain things that are happening that's going on that here this kid was saying he shouldn't even seen it and been around it himself. So all the other celebrities who saw it and they stand quiet about it. Ain't that in our culture? No snitching.
And I felt a certain way when Usher got on Shay Shay, and I don't mean to mention other people's platforms, but he got on Shay Shay and he mentioned how great and how good Puff taught him and everything. You know what I'm saying? About the business, right? I know, and people know, that was around that in that time that Puff and Usher did have a situation. And that situation led Usher to the hospital. Now I let Usher explain that to y'all. I let Usher tell that story. But how dare you say a man that groomed you gonna give him a pass? Bro, you know.
Diddy's influence extended well beyond music, quietly shaping who advanced and who stalled within tightly controlled circles where access determined outcomes. Justin Bieber's proximity to that world reflected a deeper industry pattern, one driven by gatekeepers, private leverage, and behind-the-scenes decisions rather than transparent and accountable pathways. It reveals how power can steer careers long before the public ever sees the results.
The song, it went over our heads. It's actually about Diddy this whole time. Which video? The song Lonely. Let me see.
Everybody knows my best. I'm so with it black. Maybe that's the price you pay for the money and fame at an early age.
He even came out and said stuff about how when he was younger, he was being taken advantage of, which is true. The problem was being a victim of the diddler. What happens? Because he has so much dirt on you, if you go out into the public, he may have videos, he may have embarrassing things, he might even have incriminating footage of you doing things that you were forced.
The deeper issue is not just what may have happened out of public view. It is why accountability weakens in a system where progress is tied to proximity to power. When access becomes the currency of advancement, boundaries begin to fade, and caution is treated as a disadvantage instead of a safeguard. This creates a structure where influence dictates outcomes, and the real tension centers on control. Who truly has the freedom to say no? And who ends up carrying the consequences for that decision?
Of Justin Bieber partying with P. Diddy has just emerged, and it looks horrifying. Bieber was not in his right state of mind. Here's the video.
Oh, he's bad boy now.
Look at that. Whoa, look at that.
Here's your icon alert.
Look at
It's called
that. Does that look normal to you guys? What's going on here? He gets down on his knees, starts drinking. Diddy right there.
Long before Justin Bieber rose to global fame, Usher had already described entering Diddy's circle as a teenager and later reflected on the early exposure to adult-level pressure that came with it. This context shifts the conversation from isolated moments to a repeating pattern. When similar dynamics surface across generations, coincidence becomes harder to defend. It reveals a deeper continuity in which influence and trust are passed forward without meaningful reform. If discomfort was acknowledged once, The real question becomes even more urgent now. Why did the system remain unchanged when the next young artist stepped into the same environment?
Tired of Usher. I wish somebody would come out and just like sue him. Like, we need Usher. No, we do. We need a victim to come out and be honest about him, because what I'm realizing is that he's gonna fake the funk until the victim, man. He's just gonna keep on sucking the devil's. And I don't know, you know, like with a baby, that pacifier, sometimes you gotta pull it out. You know what I'm saying? And take it away, right? When the babies used to sucking on the pacifier, that motherfucker gonna keep sucking on that shit until you do what? Till you take it out the mouth. Now it's gonna scream and holler, but eventually it will get used to the fact that his mouth is no longer full with that object. And that it's time to just, you know, learn how to live without it. He been sucking on Diddy's dick a long time. It's time for him to learn how to make this thing happen without the devil's dick in his mouth or ass.
Oh, you don't think if he sued, he'll just Lil Woody the situation? And I don't recall. I don't recall.
No, because I think if a victim comes out against Usher, it'll show how egregious this shit is. Because if he can be a predator, then anybody can.
As scrutiny around Diddy intensified, many figures once closely linked to him grew noticeably quiet. Meanwhile, 50 Cent amplified his stance, exposing a revealing pattern within the industry. Speaking out risks damaging connections, while silence helps preserve them, blurring the line between loyalty and self-preservation. This is not driven by fear alone, but by calculated survival in a system where truth competes directly with career stability. And when staying silent becomes the safest option, one question lands with force. Can genuine accountability ever truly take hold?
The hospital. They're not seeing what the intentions was in his heart when he took Justin Bieber there.
Oh.
Let's be honest. He took Justin Bieber there. Diddy had been trying to get to Bieber for a minute. And his management was backing him off. But it wasn't until Usher took over management and had guardianship and gave temporary guardianship to the diddler for 48 hours. Think about that. He had already been to the hospital. That situation that Gene was talking about. And you still took Bieber there. But you got custody of him first. Diddy had already tried. They wouldn't let him. Actually, someone made reference to the fact that Diddy trying to get at Bieber the way he was trying to get at Bieber was looking a little predatory. And then Usher came in and discovered it and managed him and got custody of him and promised to look after him. And then he sent him to the diddler. Does that sound like a good guy?
It's horrible.
Does that sound like a good guy? Now that we know what Diddy's really like, what kind of fucking asshole do you gotta be to take another boy, another talented boy, and put him in your place so it ain't gotta be?
Justin Bieber has never publicly accused Diddy of criminal wrongdoing. Yet his later reflections on anxiety, instability, and emotional burnout add a deeper layer to a far more complex narrative, one shaped by intense pressure at a young age, constant exposure to competing adult interests, and success that arrived without the structure needed to protect his well-being. While this record does not offer simple answers, it challenges surface-level interpretations and highlights the real cost of growing up too quickly in an environment where guidance and protection were never clearly prioritized.
Usher look like he fresh off a goddamn plane. Usher fresh off the garden stage. That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, damn, pause, but like, that's how. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the frosted flakes because he used to always get up early. Now he's one of the richest songs in the world. And what did Puff just say? Nobody's gonna acknowledge this with me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the frosted flakes, and we're streaming live. That was stupid. Listen, that was stupid. Listen,
we having a good time.
Usher is a procurer. And if Usher knew what was going to happen to any of those young children that he took to the Flavor Freak off, is he a good guy? Especially considering what happened to him. Especially considering that he sat with Howard Stern, and Howard Stern said, would you send your kids to Puffy's Flavor Camp? And his immediate response was, hell no! So it's good enough for everybody else's kids, but it's not good enough for you. Yours are just good enough to die in Lake Lanier with no real investigation. Got it? Like, these aren't good people!
All right, Jeff.
He's not good! He's a... And the simple fact that Justin Bieber literally made a public statement and said, Usher asked me to do the Super Bowl with him and I turned it down.
Run for the hills.
The implication here is not about assigning legal blame. It is about recognizing human impact. Harm does not always arrive with clear labels or direct claims. Often, it surfaces years later as lasting strain, instability, or experiences that were never fully understood in the moment, especially when pressure and exposure are built into the system itself. What if the consequences do not require one defining incident to exist? That is where the real concern emerges. If the issue is structural rather than isolated, why does acknowledgement depend on one clear accusation before we accept that something may have gone wrong?
Yeah, she's crazy. She's a superstar.
Superstar, right? So,
Yeah.
so you're there and you see her and you see the way she's reacting to you. And I wonder what was going through your mind, because I've never had a chance to ask you that, because I know what was going through her mind, because I've never had a chance to ask her that. And it's pretty clear in the video what's going through her mind. She can't even. What was going through your mind when you saw that kind of reaction? And also now in the knowledge that you were just coming out of that space yourself.
I wanted to protect the moment. You know, I don't know how many opportunities I'm going to get. You know, we never know how many opportunities we're going to get with anybody. I mean, I'm tearing up thinking about it, just with the Kobe situation, you know. You just never know. And so I just wanted to be a good example, you know, and yeah.
Did you feel protective of her?
Yeah, I definitely feel protective of her. It was hard for me being that young and being in the industry and not knowing where to turn, and everyone, you know, telling me they love me and, you know, just turn their back on you in a second. So yeah, it's hard because I want her to know that, you know, she can count on me, but at the end of the day, I'm never going to force myself to be in a relationship with her. It has to be natural, right? So I just kind of, you know, let her do her thing, and if she ever needs me, I'm going to be here for her. But yeah, just protecting those moments, because people take for granted encounters, and yeah, so yeah, I just want to protect her, you know. I don't want her to lose it. I don't want her to, you know, go.
As Diddy's situation entered the federal courtroom, the conversation shifted from speculation to structured scrutiny anchored in records, procedures, and defined outcomes. Charges, rulings, and appeals set clear boundaries on what can be responsibly stated, while also forcing a broader reflection on the system surrounding it. Courts are designed to evaluate actions, not entire environments. And that gap leaves deeper cultural issues unresolved, making one point clear: what is legally settled is not always ethically resolved. A closed case does not erase wider structural impact. So when proceedings end on paper, the real question continues with even greater intensity. Does accountability stop there? Or is that where the conversation truly begins?
Eilish. And he was broke, almost in tears. He's like, I just want to protect her. I just want to keep her safe.
Yeah.
What do you think he went through?
Because he knows what's been happening to Billy. Just like everybody knew what was happening to Millie Bobby Brown girl with Drake. These people are monsters. In Harlem, and they asked him what he thought about what was going on with Diddy, and if he knew Diddy. love Dapper Dan for this. He said, I grew up with his parents. I knew his parents. He said, and what's going on with him has been going on long before him. Now, his father was a government snitch and a bad actor in the criminal world altogether. The woman that they're saying is his mother was a prostitute, no whore. But there's whispers in the streets of Harlem that Diddy's mother isn't alive. Not his biological mother, that woman is his aunt.
Whoa. Oh,
there are whispers.
Wait a minute.
There are whispers. Diddy's story is so convoluted, but nobody really likes talking about who he was before he became Puffy. Nobody, like, I would love if I could be granted an interview with him. To interview Diddy now in his most raw state about his life up until the age of 15 only. We got to learn how to stop making Diddies. What made him him? Now, his pedigree comes from rat background. His father was a rat, snitch. Not revered. He turned on Frank Lucas, who was the king of Harlem. And yet, Diddy was able to, siphon off enough of that juice, just enough to get people, but he needed Gene. Think about this. Gene was more of a father figure to Diddy than he was a bodyguard. And Gene was more than a bodyguard, he was an investigator. So when they went separate ways.
The convergence of 50 Cent, Diddy, and Justin Bieber reveals a deeper pattern within celebrity-driven systems where power concentrates at the top, vulnerability is pushed downward, and accountability often arrives last, if it arrives at all. Youth is framed as authenticity, access is marketed as mentorship, and silence is treated as professionalism, creating a structure where imbalance feels routine instead of alarming.
Guys that are A-listers that's bigger than Diddy, there's only one that I could come up with, and there's a few I could come up with. Will Smith, he's bigger than Diddy. I would think Nick Cannon is bigger than Diddy. Who else on the black that are black actors or black in the business that's an A-lister that's bigger than Diddy that's black? That's hard to think. But then if you got the A-listers, you got to realize he ran with that black that Rat Pack, and I don't want to even say their names because they said I got their names wrong last time. What's his name? Kushner? What's the other guy? Leonardo? Yeah, his name. Man, I don't keep up with these cats, but I heard that that's not only the tape that's being shopped. There's some other tapes out there, other people too with him, and him doing some things with some other people. So there's quite a few tapes that might be out there, what they're hearing, and I don't want to see the tapes, but I want to know if they really true. Because if they got if they got some tapes out there and it's with some underage, whether it's celebrities or not, it's going to be crazy.
About assigning simple blame, but about recognizing repeated conditions that continue to produce the same outcomes. And when identical patterns lead to the same consequences again and again, the real question becomes unavoidable. At what point does the system stop being background context and become the central issue itself?